Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Welcome to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, where in a single moment you can recognize your brilliance and change your life. This is a transformational hour that covers an array of topics that demonstrate how individuals use their native talents, of course as shown in their name, to look at the ordinary in extraordinary ways. Now, I always remind you that Albert Einstein once said that everybody's a genius. And why would one of the smartest people on the planet declare that everyone is a genius unless he knew that to be true? I'm your host, Sharon Lynn Wyeth, creator of Namology Science and author of Know the Name, Know the Person. In each show, you hear how other people have discovered their own genius and what they were able to accomplish because of it. And then at the end of every show, including tonight's, you'll hear clues that you can find in your name to recognize your own genius. So how does someone express their creative talents? And how does someone share those gifts with others in such a way that everybody benefits? Our expert tonight is Sandy Anastasi, who has developed her genius in the area of her psychic gifts and assisting others to develop their natural, intuitive, and other psychic talents. Now, over the years, Sandy has trained many thousands of people, literally thousands of people, to utilize their psychic skills, including some of the most well-known names in the field. She's been on national TV, crossing over with her friend John Edward, Cross Country with John Edward, and The View, where she read tarot for Whoopi Goldberg, as well as being on the local news, multiple radio shows, and podcasts over the years. She's been featured in newspaper articles and has been mentioned in many books by many different authors in the field, including a few of bestsellers. Now, Sandy has been in high demand for 40 years now and is one of the few people that, in my professional opinion, is authentic, talented, and absolutely real. Welcome to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You radio show, Sandy.
Thank you, Sharon. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Sandy, there are so many wannabes out there today claiming to be psychic and that you should pay them for their gifts. How can you tell an authentic psychic from a wannabe, and how can you tell if their gifts have been developed enough where it's worth paying them for it?
Oh, boy, did you just open up a can of worms there, Sharon? That is the question. And I'm going to diverge, if you don't mind, just for a moment here, because when I'm teaching my students, And now, mind you, my students study intensely. They go deep, and they end up extremely talented at the end of their classes when they graduated and able to do fabulous readings. And yet, right up until the time they graduate, they're saying to me, am I ready? How do I know if I'm ready? How do I really know if I'm going to be able to help people the way I really want to help them? And so it's interesting because, yes, in this field, in this psychic field, we do have, unfortunately, a lot of people who are fraudulent. When people go to a psychic, very frequently they're hurting. They've lost someone or something. They are worried about their future, and they're trusting this person to give them information that's going to help them to heal and to find the right path in life. So they're very vulnerable. And you see, when you're in a field that attracts vulnerable people, it's also a field that attracts a lot of people who are going to prey upon those vulnerable people. And so you really touched a sensitive point in my psyche, because I've spent a good part of my life trying to get people to understand that the psychic world is real, and that we're not needing to have this suspicion of us, that psychics can be real, they can be well trained, they can be exceedingly caring and extraordinarily good. And so we have this diversity, and that's why I wanted to start out talking about my students, who I can guarantee are well trained, and there they are worrying, are they well trained enough? And then you have somebody else who just hangs out a shingle, and they're a charlatan, and they pick on a vulnerable person and just make money on them and give everybody else a bad name. We have these two real extreme sides of the spectrum, and everything and anything in between. So what I am doing here is really validating your question. If somebody wants to go for a psychic reading, what are the ways that they can be sure they're going to somebody who's going to be good for them? And of course, the first thing I'm going to say is what I say to everybody: please trust your gut. Develop your own intuition. Trust it. If you're getting ready to call a psychic, even one who's been very well recommended, and you feel this turning in the pit of your stomach, or you get a little headache, or you have this feeling of, what am I doing? Well, you shouldn't be doing that. Okay? So, number one, trust your own intuition, and go or don't go to the person that you have those powerful feelings concerning. But also, my second recommendation would be just that. Look for somebody that you can go to who has come highly recommended. So if you have a friend who's had some really good results with a psychic, well, it doesn't mean that, psychism is interesting. A person isn't necessarily good for everyone. Just because they could do a good reading for one person, they may not be as good as for another, but it's a good place to start.
Yes. And I've always noticed too that if a psychic says, oh, you need to have this or that cleared, and this is going to cost you this much more money, that's a shenanigan. That I've never heard a real psychic say that.
Absolutely. As soon as they say, hey, I can lift this spell off of you, or the reason you're having this poor streak in your life right now is because somebody did something mean, and I can cast a spell and get rid of this for you. That person's a charlatan. That person's not real. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. I mean, that's one right away that means warning bells out there.
It's a giveaway.
What happened, Sandy, that caused you to know that you were psychic?
That's very interesting, Sharon, and I like the way you put that, so thank you. I think it's my belief, Sharon, that everyone is psychic. And I do believe, as a matter of fact, that everyone does already use their psychic abilities in some fashion, but most of us don't think of these things as psychic. So in my case, I was actually 28 years old. I always tell people I came to my psychic gifts late in life. And also astrologer, it's interesting to me because 28 years old is just about when you're getting your first Saturn return, and this Saturn is supposed to be your career planet, So I was at that point in my life where I was coming to the point where that higher part of me was saying, okay, you need to get on track. And I had what is often called a spontaneous opening of the Kundalini. And putting that into English, what that means is that 1 minute I was a safety engineer, believe it or not, I was. I'm certified to teach 5 sciences. Believe it or not, I actually taught for a while in high school. And there I was inspecting an industrial plant, and everything opened up. And I was hearing people's thoughts as if they were talking to me. I was seeing the floor as if I could put my foot right through it, having a little difficulty telling the difference in density between the hose laying on top of the floor and the floor I was going to put my foot on. It was really quite an experience. I thought I was crazy.
That's going to be one of my questions coming up. So go ahead.
I thought I was insane. And I was very lucky. You know, I should also mention that I was 28 back in the 1970s. And back then, people didn't even talk about anything psychic. At least not people who were, you know, in my concept of being normal. So when everything opened up and I was all of a sudden telepathic and empathic and clairsentient and seeing things and hearing things and knowing what people were going to say before they said them, it all opened up at once. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? I was very lucky. I had a girlfriend who had been psychic since birth, much like you, I believe, and had been smart enough to not tell anybody. But when I would be sitting there getting all these weird feelings about somebody who I didn't think was a good person, she'd say, "You're right, Sandy, we should leave." Okay. or when I looked across the room and somebody's energy field around them that we call an aura suddenly burst into a bright red, she'd say, "Yep, I'm seeing it too. That lady is angry." Okay. So I was very lucky that I had that person that could hold my hand and at least let me know I wasn't crazy. Otherwise, I wouldn't be teaching the classes I'm teaching today. I would probably be sitting in a mental institution somewhere believing that I was a nut. So without going into it that in more depth than that, I looked back at that point on my life. I said, where did this come from? And when I looked back, I realized that I really had been psychic all along. There were moments in my childhood where I was able to see through a wall and see what people in the next room were doing. There were moments where I heard somebody else's thoughts, where I walked down the street and saw a bubble of energy around them. So I did have these psychic experiences, but they were pieces. They weren't there all the time. It was a glimpse. It was a glitter. And it was very easy to say, oh, that was a chance, that was an accident, or, oh, I just ended up at the same store with my girlfriend by accident. That wasn't that chance. And I discounted everything, which is what most of us do. What I find in today's world is that most of us do develop our psychic abilities, whether we get trained in them or not, but we usually develop them along the lines of something we're interested in.
Okay, so we're going to have to stop that thought, but hold that thought because we need to take our break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on X Zone Broadcast Network and at knowthename.com on the schedule page. After the break, we're going to find out some future thoughts from Sandy. Stay tuned.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shamans worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net and X Zone Broadcast Network and on knowthename.com. Our guest tonight is Sandy Anastasi, whose website is her name. Sandy is spelt the normal way with ending in a Y, and her last name is ANASTASI.com. Now, I'd like to take this segment to hear about worldly events and then focus on the personal growth during the next segment. However, first we want her to finish that answer left over from the first segment that we did. So, Sandy, you were in the middle of telling us that you believe everyone was psychic and they started their gifts when they get interested in something. Would you please continue that?
Yeah, exactly. What I find with my students and my clients is that they may not even realize how psychic they are until I start pointing out how they're using their psychic abilities in their work or in their talent as an artist or in what they're creating in their writings. And all of a sudden they say, oh yeah, I do tap into something else when I do that.
Yahoo. I think a lot of teachers do that too, to know just what to say to what child to get them moving and motivated and to feel good about themselves. So again, I'd like to say Sandy Anastasi's website is her name, and her Sandy is with a Y, and Anastasi is ANASTASI.com. Now, Sandy, this is the part of the show where we interpret a little bit of your name, and then I'm going to get into questions about the world. Are you ready?
Oh, I am.
Okay. In Sandy's name, it says that she wants to make the world a better place. It also says that you need to watch out about your knees because they could give you a hard time later on in life. It says that you're able to get along with anybody that you choose to get along with. And the idea is if you want to, you can, but if you don't want to, who cares anyway? It also indicates that you're incredibly psychic or more spiritual, so because you've got all those letters in there that state it. It says that you can bring very stubborn people to you, so you had to learn how to be a good mediator. And that one of the interesting things in your name is it says that you can learn from anybody. But when you're learning something new, you want the teacher right there to the right of you so that they can answer quick questions as you're coming up with them because you don't have the patience to wait when you're learning something new. However, the minute you've caught on, it's like, how fast can you get rid of that person? It's like, go away, leave me alone. I got it now. Don't micromanage me.
Very interesting.
So that's some of what you've got in your name. But you know, twice you have in your name how important it is to you to make this world a better place. Some of the questions this time is, we're living in such turbulent times. And so many people I encounter are worried or concerned or afraid. What can you tell us that could assist people who are worried about the future of the United States, that might relieve some of the anxiety that they're feeling without getting into politics, as we both like to leave politics to the politicians?
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I so do. In fact, I really think these days the politicians aren't so good at politics either. So the interesting thing that I believe, Sharon, is that, well, first of all, I don't think the chaos, the stress, the changes that we're going through are just limited to the United States. The United States seems to be a key player. It's all over the world. Why? Because humanity is evolving. My guides told me sometime back that we have been in stasis. We've been here on the physical plane too long. And they don't mean that we should all die and go to heaven. What they mean is that as we evolve, all of us, we evolve into a less dense form of ourselves. We become more spiritual. And we have been at this rock bottom, dense physicality for far, far too long. So the reason why there's so much turbulence and so much difficulty as we go through this transition is because we've been resisting it so much. And that has to do with everything, whether it's family values, whether it's social situations, whether it's the medical field, whether it's politics, whether it's religion. Everything is in transition. And it's in transition not because it's bad, but because it's supposed to be going through growth. And when you resist growth, sometimes to initiate that growth requires breaking down the outer shell, kind of like coming out of a chrysalis or a cocoon, which is really what we're doing right now.
Well, people right now, the most concern that I hear about consistently is about they're worried that the dollar is going to crash or become worthless. What do you see around money and financial future trends for both the U.S. and I feel like whatever happens here is going to happen everywhere?
Oh, well, and I agree with you. What can I say? Again, money and finance, whether you're talking about stocks, bonds, gold, silver, whatever it is you're talking about, paper money, it's still, in today's world, guess what? Linked to politics. And so depending on who happens to be in power, who happens to be pulling the strings, who's doing the manipulation, and of course the game has gotten bigger. We're now looking at Chinese and Russia and the Middle East, and it's this giant stirring of the pot, okay? My guides do not believe that the dollar is going away. Okay, I've asked.
Good news.
And it's interesting, Sharon, I am not political at all, but my guides are very political, so they usually do kind of know what's going on. And I don't get involved with it because it's just, it's too much tumult and people don't really understand, because my guides tend to see a big picture instead of the direct one of, who's getting elected next year or something like that. They see a big picture of what's happening to humankind, which, most people's heads aren't quite on that level. The thing is that they don't see the dollar going away. What they recognize, and this is an odd way of looking at it, but currency is a medium of exchange. My guides don't see money as a thing. They see it as a medium of exchange. And so the medium of exchange that we use is going to obviously have to do with which, country or which countries happen to have the primary big pieces of that playing board. And right now, it looks like the United States is going to be hanging in there, and the dollar is going to remain intact. I know a while back, everyone thought it was going to be going to an Amero. I heard there might be 3 currencies on the planet, and that still might happen, but the dollar will be one of them.
Yay. Wonderful to hear, so everybody can stop having anxiety. Thank you. I once read, Sandy, that the United States would become the spiritual leader for the world, and each nation would find its own specialty to lead the world in that category. You want to make any comments on that or any thoughts?
Oh, I love that. I haven't had that information come to me, Sharon, so I can't comment on it and say, hey, yeah, my guides are in agreement. The thing is, it sounds lovely. That is something I would absolutely love to see happen. I do believe again, this comes back to my studies from long, long ago. I believe that we have a golden age in front of us that, according to astrologers and spiritualists from way back when, will last about 2,500 years once we move into it. And I would love to see the United States be a leader of that spiritual opening that's happening. But, there are a lot of other countries in the world that are also spiritual, as you said, in their own way.
In their own way.
Amazing. Yeah.
Well, the article I was reading came out of India, and I have always thought of India as one of the spiritual leaders of the world. And yet it assigned that it would be moving to, this article assigned that it would be moving to the United States. and that Israel would be in charge of technology, and that India was going to be known for its medical breakthroughs. And anyway, it was saying different things about different countries. And I thought, how beautiful that every country would have something to offer everybody else.
I really love that. Absolutely love that. And what comes to mind for me as you're saying that, a couple of years back, I was on safari in Kenya. And in Kenya, the land literally talks to you. The land is alive. It's one of the cradles of civilization. And, you just step foot on the ground and you know that this place vibrates to its very own, very special way, and that it has something to do with our future as well. And as I spoke with some of the Kenyan people, I began to realize that, they're brilliant, they're creative, they're innovative, and they're so very, very, very different from us. They're going to evolve a society that is that can really take off and lead the planet as well. But it will be very different from ours because the society, the values, the whole way of looking at life comes from a different place than ours. And yet it has a place in this puzzle which is irreplaceable.
And I think everybody does contribute. I loved Kenya. I got to see the Serengeti from an air balloon, which I had never been in before. So, I just had a fabulous time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in a very quick, short answer, many worry about the divisiveness of our population. Do you see us coming together as a people, or do you see continued discord over the next couple of years?
I see us coming together.
Oh, I am so glad to hear that, because I think it's time. Where are we going to get to peace if we can't be peaceful with our neighbors, and then within our cities, and then our states, and then if every country could be peaceful within itself, then it would be easier for countries to get along. So I keep hoping that the people of our world want peace more than war, and that the nations of the world will find a way to live together. Are you also seeing that the nations will eventually come together?
I think that's in process.
Ah, fabulous. So, in other words, in our lifetimes, we may get to see that?
Maybe not in yours and mine, but certainly in our children's and their children's.
Hey, that's good enough for me to know it's coming. Now, we need to take another break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You. This show is dedicated to providing information about the importance of our psychic gifts. Now, after the break, we'll find out how Sandy Anastasi defines different psychic gifts that people have, and a few hints on how you can develop your own psychic gifts. Stay tuned.
How would your life change if you could develop the business and personal skills that you need in order to make more money? Do you want to learn how to achieve your big life goals faster? Then go to findhiddenmoney.com and get the Goal for It online course. The course teaches you how you can set and achieve your biggest goals while completely overcoming the roadblocks to your goals so that you can realize your dreams and imagine more success. Go to findhiddenmoney.com.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence? Have an invaluable private program to always perform at your best. Imagine how you would feel. You can have all that and so much more today with Thomas Hyde's life-changing course called Number One Fear Unleashed. Visit numberonefear.com and be liberated from your fear of public speaking.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net and X Zone Broadcast Network and knowthename.com via the schedule page. Our guest tonight is Sandy Anastasi, an incredible, authentic, gifted psychic whose website is her name, sandyanastashi.com. And Sandy is spelt the normal way, S-A-N-D-Y, and her last name is ANASTASI.com. Now, if you don't have something to write it down with right away, not a problem. When you go to knowthename.com and go to the schedule page, simply click on tonight's show, and all of her information and how to reach her and everything is right there. Now, Sandy, you have classes on your website that shares information on developing one's own psychic gifts. And there's so many categories under this psychic umbrella. How would an individual figure out which area they'd be more likely to have a talent and where to start?
That is amazing, Sharon. I get asked that question so many times. First off, I do teach my next class. I teach my psychic development series of classes once a year. The next one starts in January 2020, where people will study with me directly in person online. But I have a membership part of my site that also has a tremendous amount of psychic information, psychic development information in it. And that's really, I guess, what you're asking me the questions of right now. People will constantly look at all this information and say, where do I start? What is my gift? Most people, if they look at themselves, Sharon, can identify their gift themselves. It's always going to be attached to something that you enjoy doing, that you like doing, and that comes naturally and easily to you. So, for example, are you a good conversationalist? It may be that you're so good at your conversation because you're an empath and you can connect with what the other person is saying. So look at what you're good at as a starter. My basic skills that I look at when I'm looking at the psychic field, there's telepathy, which is picking up on people's thoughts. There's empathy, which is being able to read and understand somebody's feelings. In fact, someone who's a powerful empath really is attracted to wanting to help people if they don't feel well. There's clairvoyance, which is the ability to see not just things like people who aren't there, but nuances and facial expressions. Clairvoyants see things that other people don't see. And yet sometimes it's borderline. Is it physical that they're actually seeing? Somebody else, when it's pointed out, might be able to see it, but the clairvoyant will just automatically pick it up. Clairalience is having a powerful sense of smell, where you're smelling things and alerted to things through your sense of smell that other people might not be aware of. And I could go on, but is that hitting your question?
Yeah, I like those Claire sisters. That's what I call them, the Claire sisters.
I love that.
And they come visit people. It's interesting that you would say that people would know about it for themselves. When people ask me that, I see it in their name, where their gifts are. And I would say, have you ever thought about this talent or that talent and to start that? But I know that people inside must have some sense if they just honor what they're feeling. Why don't people trust their intuition? What have you found?
Honestly, I think it's because they're told not to. And I also think sometimes it's because they're afraid that if they trust their intuition, number one, they might see something or have to believe something about another person, for example, that they don't want to really believe. And also because if they accept that they have that power, that they have that ability, they really have to be self-responsible. So it's a whole chain of things is what I'm saying. I think people they don't trust their intuition primarily because they are taught not to, and secondarily because they're a little afraid to do it.
That shows up, by the way, that fear of their own intuition shows up in the letter J more often than any other letter. Okay.
That's interesting.
in your experience, is there anything a person could say that will assist others to stop thinking of psychic talents as being from the devil? And if that is what they've been led to believe already, I mean, there's so many people out there that I get to speak with, because the names is such a scientific thing, that they would look at me and say, the gifts that people have, oh, no, that's the devil's work. What would be a good response for that?
That I've got to tell you, Sharon, I don't know that I can answer that, because in my work, I don't ever polarize. And if someone says to me, you know, what you're doing is the devil's work, my response to them is, I'm really sorry you feel that way. It could benefit you, but it's okay. You can feel however you want.
So there's no, what I want to say, justification for it or whatever. It's just acknowledging that that's how that person feels.
I acknowledge their feelings. I don't give in to them. I don't say, okay, I'll stop doing it, or, oh, it doesn't, but the thing is, I'm not going to get into the argument. And here's the reason why. I am also a student of Tai Chi Chuan. I don't know if any of your listeners have ever studied Tai Chi Chuan, but in Tai Chi Chuan, the more advanced levels, they get into something which is called push hands, where you're working with another person and you're literally feeling the dynamics of how their body is flowing. And you could be sitting there flowing with that person, hand to hand, elbow to elbow, waiting until you feel where that person is weakest. And at that point, a little tiny shift of your body and that other person can go flying across the room. But if instead of flowing with this, okay, when that person starts to push you with people who are advanced at this, if you go with them as they push and turn sideways, they go flying across the room instead of you. Did you catch what I was just saying there?
Yes, that's fascinating.
So what I've learned to do in my work is I play push hands with speech. If somebody resists me, I don't give any resistance back. It's okay. Whatever you want to feel is okay. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about what I do, I would be glad to tell you about it. But I'm not going to try to convince you it's right.
Isn't that a beautiful way of answering?
Mm-hmm. It works. It helps to get people to open their mind. I don't need people to think like me or to do what I do, but I do want them to be open-minded enough to be able to grow in some way themselves, in whatever way is best for them.
And I've always thought that people are in boxes, but they put themselves there, and all they have to do is open their mind and boxes disappear.
Perfect. I agree. That's great.
Now, I was taught that meditation's the best way to open oneself to your own gifts. And so I'm just asking, because I think there's multiple ways, even though I was taught it was through meditation. So what value do you see in meditation, if any?
Well, that's an interesting point. In my classes, if you were to take my psychic development classes, the very first thing I start to teach you is meditation, because I do believe that. Here's what I believe about meditation and psychic development. In order for me to read your thought, feel your emotion, know what it is that you need accurately, in order to recognize that a thought that came into my mind was not my own, a feeling that I'm having didn't originate with me, that feeling, that thought has to come into stillness. Otherwise, I can't tell the difference. So I have to know and understand the flavor of my own being to know that something different has come in, is what I'm saying. And the best way to know the flavor of your own being is to learn to still your mind. And the best way to do that is through meditation. So I'm in total agreement with you that that's the best way to start to develop your psychic abilities. It's also interesting that if you studied in an Eastern ashram, they would tell you to ignore all those psychic impressions and insights that come in while you are meditating. They would say they're a distraction to the thing that's going to develop your spiritual self. And they're right.
So when I've been asked if I'm hearing something, how do I know if it is from me or from spirit? Okay. I always say, watch your own thoughts. Your thoughts are very continual. You do not interrupt yourself. But if all of a sudden in the middle of a sentence you get another thought, that's probably not yours.
That's a really good insight. I like that. Absolutely. It's a good one. I also feel very strongly that when people are first beginning, and you've got to start somewhere, that's when it's hardest to tell what is self from not self psychically. And that's why for people who are beginning, I not only recommend meditation, I also recommend as they're learning to open their senses, I recommend a lot of psychic self-protection, a lot of it. I have a lot of that on my website, as a matter of fact. The reason, because here I am, I'm teaching these people to become more sensitive to the emotions and the thoughts and the energetic actions around them from other people. And I've got to also teach them to protect themselves so that they don't get zapped because they're trying to be more open now.
I think that's very, very important to protect self until you can raise your own level of consciousness to be light enough and clear enough that the light itself can protect you.
Exactly. And there's a time, there will come a time, I tell my students, where you'll be able to recognize what impulse came from your higher consciousness, what came from Sharon through the airwaves, what came from the person sitting outside of my office watching television, what came from a student who's thinking about the homework assignment I gave them. And I can be aware of all those thoughts at the same time and pick and choose the only ones that I want to respond to and know that all of them are not mine. And
I got to watch Sai Baba do that in India. That to me was so amazing. We need to take our last break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You on xzbn.net and knowthename.com. Now, after the break, we're going to find out what Sandy Anastasi has in her name that has assisted her, that you may have in your name as well as finding out the various types of psychic gifts that can exist. Stay tuned.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games,
No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand, live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net and X Zone Broadcast Network and knowthename.com. Now, our guest tonight is Sandy Anastasi, who's developed her talents in the area of psychic skills and is one of the preeminent teachers today in this area. Now, you can reach Sandy via her website, which is her name, sandyanastasi.com. Sandy is spelt the normal way, S-A-N-D-Y, and her last name is A-N-A-S-T-A-S-I. Now, if you don't have something to write it down on, not a problem. Go to knowthename.com, go to the schedule page, and on that page, all you have to do is find today's date and click on it, and all of Sandy's information is right there convenient where you can just click on it and immediately go to her website. Now, Sandy, speaking of your website, you have the most amazing website, and you teach classes along with having this upcoming cruise. Now, would you mind telling us about this fabulous cruise that you've got coming up?
Oh, you just hit one of my most delicious times of the year. The psychic cruise I do every year or sometimes every 2 years. This one is going to sail away on the Royal Caribbean on April 18th of 2020. And if people want to register for it, they do need to register through our person on my website in order to be part of my group, not just directly with Royal Caribbean, but through our own travel person. So go to my website to do that. But the cruise is fabulous. We're going to be going to a haunted mansion and feeling it and then coming back to the ship and talking about our impressions. We're going to have a psychic fair on the ship, where we do lots of readings. We're going to have meditations and lots of social gatherings. And I don't frequently do messages sessions, but when I do that cruise, I do a messages session for the people who are on the cruise, who are part of our group. And for me, messages sessions are getting messages from your guides and also from deceased people who might be coming through to speak with you through your guides.
Now, there's also a bonus if you go to Sandy's cruise, because you get to meet me because I'm going. So I don't know who I'm going with yet. I've got a few friends that I've asked and said, come on, guys, you really want to do this. But I'm going. So if you're coming along on Sandy's cruise, you also have an opportunity to meet me. Now, Sandy, what are some of the various ways that psychic gifts can show up for somebody that would just shock them and all of a sudden they would go, oh my gosh, I know that didn't come from me?
Oh, I see it all the time, okay? And sometimes it's very subtle. Sometimes it's just this little tiny thing. One example from my own life was when I turned up at a relative's Christmas gathering, and every single present that somebody had given me, I had bought them the exact same thing in the complementary color. So sometimes it's a minor little thing like that, but it definitely gets attention.
Oh, that's cute. I have always been able to tell my nieces they were pregnant before they told somebody else, or sometimes even before they knew.
Oh, I love that. Oh, and this is a little story from my own past. I went to a Thai restaurant that I loved, had been going to for years, and the owner was a very, 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 we call her healthy, big lady. And she went by, and a little voice said to me, "You have to tell her I'm coming now." And I was like, "Is she pregnant?" I couldn't tell. So she went by a couple of times, and little voice kept talking to me. And finally, I got up the courage. I said, "Are you by any chance pregnant?" And she beamed, and she said, "Oh, yes." And I said, "Oh, isn't that nice? And when are you due?" And she said, "Oh, it's not going to be like until September." And this was July. And I said, I think maybe you should get ready to have the baby next week.
And you sounded crazy. Okay.
And she said, oh my, they had to have miscounted, okay? And she said, oh, but he's not due yet. In fact, they're giving me injections to stop the birth. And I said, oh, please don't do that. And finally I said, you don't really know what I do. And I explained to her who I am. And I said, just please go ahead and let the kid be born. He's going to be fine. In fact, he's going to be hairy. And next time I went there, she had the baby. And he was one of those babies that was born completely covered with hair. So he was definitely hairy, and they miscounted. So now, can those things, what I just described, happen to the average everyday person? Absolutely. I'm not the only one who gets those impressions. You're not the only one who knows what sex a baby is going to be before it's born. The thing is that most people who get those impressions discount them. They poo-poo them because that's too way out. And they let it go. And then they even forget that they thought it. Now, when you're developing your psychic abilities, it's very important to recognize those things when they happen. I call them do-goods. And in fact, I record them in a do-good book. And I give them lots and lots of attention, and I applaud them because then I get more of them.
Now that's cool. I never thought about writing them down in a do-good book. But I can tell you, when I was talking with my niece and I said, I think you're pregnant. You feel like you're pregnant. And she goes, oh no, blah, 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 and gave me all this reasoning why she wouldn't be. And about a month later, she called my daughter, who had been her best friend, and said, I'm pregnant and I want to call and celebrate with you. And at the end of the conversation, my daughter says, have you told my mom yet? She'll be so excited for you. And my niece said, oh no, she told me. She knew before I did. And it's just something with the babies. It's just something with babies that it's like, oh, I feel a baby coming. Is there anything else that you're currently working on that you'd like to share with us?
Well, in this moment, I am currently teaching a Kabbalah pathworking class, and it has already started. But for about the next 2 weeks, I would still have room, and we wouldn't be too far along to make the class up. After that, I wouldn't be able to accept any other people in it. And of course, your listeners will say, what the heck is Kabbalah pathworking? I thought that was something that was Jewish. My friends, the Kabbalah is something that the Jews have preserved coming down through history. It's a fabulous roadmap to higher consciousness. And when you study it as a Jew, you study it through the Torah and all these other very, religious methods. When you study it through pathworking with Sandy, you're studying it in the Western mystical tradition, where you're actually using it as a roadmap and going along the we call them the paths of the tree, so that you go through these guided meditations that dig deep into your psyche and help parts of yourself to unfold that perhaps you didn't even know that you had, like, for example, your psychic abilities. So, at any rate, that class has just begun, and that's one of my favorite classes because people don't have to put a whole lot of work into it, and they grow in leaps and bounds. It's just an amazing self-development class.
Now, I understand that people take it even when they're aware of their psychic gifts just to enhance them. Is that true?
Absolutely. I have people, I teach Kabbalah once a year, maybe once every 2 years. And I often have my students from psychic development go into Kabbalah, the Kabbalah pathworking students go into the psychic development. They feed back and forth. And some of them will go through them and just keep going around and around. And every time their skills increase and improve. I've got to say, Sharon, you're never, in this world that you and I occupy, or at least I do as a psychic, there's never an end to how you can grow and what you can learn and what you can develop. And that's what makes it so brilliant, beautiful, exciting. It's a constant evolution for me as well as for my students.
So if I'm hearing you right, Sandy, you're thinking that even though you have certain psychic gifts, you can develop your talents and then other gifts may also appear?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, one of my talents, Sharon, is to monkey your talents.
Oh, I love that.
I was laughing to myself earlier when you were talking about, and it was something you caught in my name, when you were talking about, when somebody's teaching me, you see, I don't just listen with my ear and my eyes on the blackboard. I'm feeling the energy of how the thing works. And once it snaps in, I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Sandy, I just want to thank you so much for taking your time to join us tonight. It was just a joy to have you on our show.
Thank you so much, Sharon. You are a blessing to the world. Your show is great. I enjoy you and I enjoy the show. So thank you so much for having me.
Anytime. Be prepared, surprised, and so very pleased if you get to experience Sandy Anastasi's work. And just till the end of this month, she has a 20% discount off of her regular reading if you're interested. So I just want to put that out there since she didn't. Her website again is Sandy Anastasi. Sandy is the normal way, Sandy, and Anastasi is Anastasi, and it's .com. Now, Sandy's name excels at being highly spiritual. This is shown by her having 4 A's in her name. If you have 4 or more A's in your entire name when you're looking at it, we're looking at the birth name, then you too put emphasis on your spirituality and can understand the deeper mysteries of life a lot easier than everyone else. Do you know where your genius lies? I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, host of the radio show Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which can be heard every weekday at various hours right here on xzbn.net radio, an X-Zone broadcast network, and on the schedule page at knowthename.com. Now, tune in every week as we discover other people's talents and what they have in common with them. For all the days and times, just check the schedule at xzbn.net and check out our broadcast schedule. And if you wish to know how to read a person's name or more about your own name, visit the website knowthename.com and give yourself the gift of a session to find out what your name says about you and your future and how knowing your name can help you live to your best and highest. You can schedule an appointment right there at the website knowthename.com. Remember, once you know the name, you know all about the person. This is Sharon Lynn Wyeth signing off.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.